Vietnam or Desert Storm 1. And that's just it. They just say, sorry, you can't get off the list under the NICS FBI instant access background check, which is really a registration. You know, what type of gun you're getting, handgun, rifle, shotgun. But now they just admit that and say, yeah, we're digitizing all the juvenile files. You have a juvenile record? No Second Amendment. This is all being announced. You had a divorce or you had a domestic disturbance, and thank God I don't have one of these, but most people I know do. I mean, neighbors now call the police on you if they hear shouting next door. Oh, my gosh, I better get involved in their business and, call the police. The police get federal grants to take somebody to jail. So they show up, and they've been told by their big city departments, you arrest somebody, even if nobody's hit the other person, even if nothing's broken, you go ahead and do it. It's all about getting you in the system. So they've got the bill introduced where without even having a misdemeanor, without even having a psychological designation. And I was looking at numbers. In some high schools, over a third, but the average is about 20%. But in some high schools, over a third. They say, oh, go to your monthly visit with the counselor. The counselor's like, are you depressed? And they have a checklist. Are you depressed? Are you angry? Do you have anxiety? And they go, well, you follow any two of these 10 things on the checklist, you are mentally ill. I'm going to send you to a psychologist I'm recommending, and insurance is going to pay for it. And your parents have got insurance. And then you get your psychological designation and the sitcoms and dramas on TV, stylize it like it's cool. And, it's a status you have. It's like you've won a Congressional Medal of Honor, that you've got a mental illness that they've made up. And, because you're 13 years old, you're supposed to be depressed or upset or have all this energy and, to be figuring things out socially. And you're supposed to be getting in fist fights and having anxiety about, the big bully's going to be waiting for you after school on the walk home. You're supposed to go ahead and not cower and beat the daylights out of the bully, but instead you hide and get fearful and have anxiety attacks. They put you on Prozac or Ritalin or both. So, see, I just said that I always want to go to your calls, and then I just start thinking about all the hypocrisy and all the out-of-control corruption and the mind control that's going on in society. It makes the head spin. Every day or two, I see an article about police called out for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds playing with pink or orange or blue rubber dart guns, that they buy at 7-Eleven that we all begged for as children. And the police come and arrest them, or the police come and shoot them. And it's always the neighbor, well, the gun was bright yellow, but I still thought it was probably illegal. I mean, we're living in a hellish situation. I look at the statistics. Government is a cancer, and the public is the problem. The public has been raised by this thing generation after generation, and now we haven't even begun to go downhill yet. This was just the vanguard or the cutting edge of it. This was the prelude, the hors d'oeuvre. And so I have a bunch of news on that front. Massive attacks on free speech. We're under attack all over the place by the media, CNN, MSNBC, Google, YouTube, banning our videos, shutting them down, announcing no more Google videos, period, as we told you they were gearing up for. Now it's been announced. People still don't care. It's happening. They're closing the doors. They're locking it down. They're moving ahead. It's really going on. It's really happening in the United States. So coming up, in an hour and 15 minutes from now, we have Paul Joseph Watson coming on to talk about this headline. Story he wrote. And you can link through to all the mainstream news articles that he has linked and the government's own announcements and their own posters. And it shows a neighbor with a boat in the yard on a big poster. And it says, go ahead and report your neighbor if you don't think they have enough money to have a boat or to dress nice or to smoke cigars. So, see, first the Stasi system is tattle on your Muslim neighbor. Are they suspicious? Are they a terrorist? And then it's, oh, by the way, tattle on your neighbor. Did you hear him say something, a racial term? Did you think you said it? Even if you think you might have heard it over the fence, call the police and we'll start surveilling them and we'll pay you. We'll give you recording devices to sit there and record them. This is in the news. And then, By the way, we want you to be neighborhood volunteers to dig through your neighbor's rubbish and make sure they're recycling properly all over Europe and in England. Now it's being implemented here. Everything in Europe is about 2-3 years ahead of us. Well, this time, police encourage citizens to report people who drive nice cars. PrisonPlanet.com. And there's images of the UK police commissioners and others up there, and it says, too much bling. And it shows a guy in a suit with a cigar. And it says, too much bling? Give us a ring. Now, they have big posters up all over England that show an all-seeing eye, and it says, you are all safe under the watchful eye. I mean, they are coming right out and saying all over U.S., British, European news that Big Brother is now good. They're now saying the term, Big Brother's helping. In fact, you can search engine the term, Big Brother helping. And you'll get tens of thousands of news articles because that's a talking point about Big Brother helping, Big Brother, Big Brother. I mean, it is everywhere. Police encourage citizens to report people who drive nice cars. And they know it's asinine. They've got the Scotland Yard police commissioner up there smiling like it's a big joke. And they're saying, if you criticize immigrants, arrested. If you criticize immigrants outside of England, you can't come to England. But what nobody's pointing out, except Paul Watson, in any article I've seen, is that Jackie Smith, went on, the Home Secretary of State, we're following EU rules. This is law. It isn't just England that's fallen to tyranny. It's all of Europe. And they're now signing the United States up to the Transatlantic Treaty Agreement that George Bush signed in 2007 to all of this. And it's all in my film, End Game Blueprint for Global Enslavement. So, H1N1 virus manufactured in a laboratory. More top scientists come out. Tamiflu developer says swine flu may have been released from lab. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization is saying 2 billion people are infected with it. It's going to come back in 6 months and kill everybody, basically. But don't worry, Obama is saying they're going to have a triple shot. So now they're going to try to say it's the law. And they've got the news saying we may force you to take it, a new triple flu shot. You know, there are multiple government studies that state that 3 flu shots consecutively doubles your chance of Alzheimer's. And that's why you've got all these people that take their kids to take flu shots every year. By the time they're 20, there are now hundreds of thousands of 20, 21, 22-year-olds who now have what they call Alzheimer's. And they just, the media will have little luncheons and events, and they'll have fundraisers about it, and they'll use all the fundraising money to cover up what's really doing it. And just, you know, pretty soon everybody will be like, yeah, you get senile when you're 18 now. Yeah, I remember when I was a young man of 15, but now I can't recognize my wife because I'm an old man of 25. These are soft kill, chemical, biological operations, silent weapons for quiet wars. Read the Army's report on it. Being used. I am under eugenics attack. And folks, you got to pull out of the spell. Mesmerized by American Idol and Survivor or whatever the top TV shows, Dancing with the Stars, and you got to pull out of watching the football game and getting drunk every night with your buddies at the bar just long enough to look around you and realize you're under scientific attack. The establishment has got us looking at all these petty issues that don't matter and caught up, even if you're politically wise, you know, that small percentage of the public, quote, wise, you still think it's a Republican-Democrat issue, and the system does everything it can to make it left versus right, right versus left. They do everything they can to make it racial. The left, in the name of fighting racism, all they do is hype and push on and on and on. You know, news about this race or that race or this, you know, on and on and on to get us at each other's throats. And then meanwhile, they've announced in the U.S., England, everywhere, spy on your neighbors. They're training children in every public school in the country. Check your public school. It's everywhere. Spy on your parents. They're giving them money, government credit cards, $200 to turn in a family member. It's actually going on. Just unbelievable tyranny as they build more and more prisons to fill them with the American people.